Welcome, everybody. It's Football Discussion Daily Time. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co host,
EGO.
CGO or George. And today was a very busy day in the world of football. We will talk about the Champions League draw, which is Paris versus Chelsea in Oil Clasico, Liverpool versus Galatasaray, Real Madrid versus Man City, Atalanta Bayern Munich, Newcastle versus Barcelona, Atletico Madrid versus Tottenham, Bodo Glimt versus Sporting, Leverkusen versus Arsenal. We will talk about Aston Villa, who lost 2-0 to their crosstown rivals Wolverhampton Wanderers today, who are at bottom of the table. Exciting stuff. We will talk about as well all the Premier League fixtures this weekend. We have Bournemouth versus Sunderland, Liverpool West Ham, Newcastle Everton. Burnley are hosting the greatest team in England, Brentford. Leeds host Man City. Brighton play Nottingham Forest. Fulham play Tottenham. Man United play Crystal Palace, and Arsenal face Chelsea, and probably the biggest match of the weekend. George, let's talk. We talked mostly about the matchups yesterday. I think a lot of things that everybody's talking about today is they feel the one side of the bracket is a lot harder than the other. This is the side with Chelsea, with Liverpool, with Madrid, with City, with Munich. They have the last 10 Champions League winners are all on that side. Four or five of which are Madrid, two of which are Bayern. Do you feel like there's merit to that? Do you feel like your Arsenals are looking at and Barcelona's, who are probably the two strongest teams on this side, are thinking, yes, we this is we got a little lucky here and we have a little bit of an easier path to the final. Do you think there's
Well, for me, it is just, I would say, those on the blue side, which is on the right side, I would say for a team like Arsenal, I would say they will have much easier um, opponents getting to the top. Even Optas uh, predicted that they are likely to win the competition, gives them higher chances of winning it. Because when you look at the teams on the right side of the bracket, you ask yourself which of those teams can really challenge Arsenal. Barcelona, their defense is not that good. They have a good attack, but defensively, they are not fantastic. Newcastle has played Arsenal this season. We know what Arsenal did against them. Arsenal defeated them. And then you look at the other teams, they are not that fantastic compared to the silver side, where you have serial winners of the Champions League. You have a team like Real Madrid on that side. You have Bayern Munich on that side. You have Chelsea there. You have Manchester City. So these are teams that have won the Champions League compared to the right side, or will I say the blue side. So for me, the left side of it, which is the silver, we have very tough opponents there. Most teams really they will really struggle a lot. They will face very tough opposition for them to get to the final of the Champions League. For the
yeah.
right side, where you have Arsenal, most likely you're going to have Arsenal get to the final, or maybe Barcelona. One of them has to get there.
I mean, last year PSG had a very difficult route to the final, and they still were able to win all the way. And so I feel like that's something that's overrated. I'm not sure. I think this year is a year that doesn't yet have a standout team in Europe. I mean, Bayern Munich and Arsenal are probably the best two teams in Europe, but again, I don't think they've separated themselves quite as much as some of the great teams of the past. And of course, the last couple of months of the season might change that narrative, might change my thoughts on that matter, but at least that's how I'm feeling at this point in the season. At this point in the season, I don't think PSG had differentiated themselves. Again, exactly 1 year ago, Liverpool were probably seen as the best team in Europe, and they very well were likely the second best team in Europe last year. They just happened to run into the best team quite early in the competition. So
But
it's
Joe, did you?
exciting. If I'm a
I don't
Bodo
know.
Glimt fan, I'm excited for the easy side of the bracket too. Good chance to go to the final.
I don't know if you remember that I told you that there's likelihood we might have Real Madrid playing Manchester City. I said that
It was
when we had the
50-50.
podcast.
Yes, it
So
was
I'm excited.
50-50.
I'm very excited. And then I was also looking forward to PSG playing Chelsea. So those
Yeah.
are going to be very tough game. They are going to be a cracker. It's a match everybody would like to really watch. So we are looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that outside of Bodo Glimt and Sporting, I mean, I think Galatasaray on paper at least is probably the weakest team. So Liverpool's probably happy with this draw as
Yes.
well. There's no easy matchups, but Galatasaray probably one of the easiest ones on paper as well.
But, but,
So
but Joe, is there any team on the silver side that you think can stop Arsenal from getting to the final?
yes, I do. I think athletic over two legs. I think Atletico, I think Barcelona, I think Newcastle, I think all those teams can do it. Newcastle's midfield is fine. I mean, it's their defense has some personnel issues in their forwards, but like their midfield is quite good. Barcelona, like you said, I think has some great individual talent on there. And Pedri, I think is better than. I mean, is probably the only midfielder in the world I'd say is better than Rice. And so I just think it's yeah, any of those teams can. I think Arsenal will be favored though against any of those teams. Beating three good teams in a row is really hard,
Yes, 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 yes. That's
even if
true.
you're Arsenal. Like it's not. I'm not trying to drag on Arsenal or say they're bad. So George, if you had to pick right now out of these four teams, who comes out? Paris, Saint Germain, Chelsea, Galatasaray, Liverpool.
Okay. It's going to be very, very difficult because I know Galatasaray will not. I don't see them escaping Liverpool. Liverpool is going to uh, overcome. They will surely defeat the knockout Galatasaray. Then PSG and Chelsea, it can go either way. But for me, I'm a Chelsea supporter, so I'm hoping that Chelsea will overcome Paris Saint-Germain. But it's going to be a very, very tough game. It can go either way, to be honest with you. So. I wouldn't. I know it's going to be between those three. It's either Liverpool, Chelsea, or PSG. One of them will get to the semi-final.
George, you got to pick one.
Well, I'll pick Chelsea.
Okay. Well, good luck with
Yeah.
that. Okay. Well, very cool. Let's move on real quick. So today, Wolverhampton beat Aston Villa. This is big because Wolverhampton's been bottom of the table, but they also have quite, based on 2026 form, have had decent form. Just they were so far behind, they have no chance to come back. But Aston Villa were arguably a month ago in the title race. I feel like that's too far gone. I've said for a month they'll probably be dragged into this four teams looking for three Champions League spots. I feel like that's now officially happened where Aston Villa's in there, George. Those are my takeaways from this match. Wolverhampton also scored a brilliant goal or two. It was great. Unai Emery also did not shake hands with the manager of Wolverhampton after the game, Rob Edwards. Shame. George, what did you see about this game? What are your takeaways?
Well, I was surprised that Honor Emery refused to shake his hands with Robert Edward. Uh, that's not it's not you don't count that to be sportsmanship. When you lose, you still congratulate your opponent. That's how it's supposed to be. I'm sure he allowed his emotion to get over it. But I wasn't surprised with the result in the sense that Aston Villa does not have a good record at the Molyneux Stadium. They have a very poor record. The last time they won at that stadium was 2012. I think January 21, 2012, and the game ended 3-2. Since then, they've not been able to get victory. So it's more than 14 years now. They haven't got a
Wow.
victory there. So I knew they are going to find it very difficult because Wolves always have good result when they play them on their home ground. So it didn't come to me as a surprise. If you watch the game, you see that Aston Villa, they played very well. They had better possession of the game. They were in control of the game. Unfortunately for them, they didn't take advantage of the chances that came their way. The likes of Ole Watkins had chances they would have buried, but they didn't take that chance. So, and if you look at the Wolves team, they only had two shots on target and they went straight into the net. So, what it shows you that they took advantage of their chances and then they got victory. So, it's a good one for Wolves. If you look at the Wolves team, since Robert Edward came, you see a lot of improvements the way they play. To be honest with you, they've really improved compared to when the previous manager was there. So it's a good one for them. Even if they don't escape relegation, which I don't think they will, but at least you see that there is progress. Even the fans were very excited with the victory. They were very happy. So even if they go to the championship, they can build on these
If
improvements.
they will go to the championship, and I think Rob Edwards signed on to this knowing it's a 3 year, like, hey, you have 6 months to build this team, you have a year in the championship, and then you're gonna have at least 6 months runway on the next run. And there's plenty of time to build a team like Wolves up, and they have a great fan base, a great history. I mean, not a great history, but like relative to other yo-yo teams who have been bounced back and forth, they're exciting. I think that the whole 10 year cycle of them like getting seventh, beating Man City, Adama Traore, All this the last 10 years has been really fun to watch. A lot of great names have come through there. What was I saying? Last summer, when Thomas Frank left Brentford, Rob Edwards is a name that I wanted. I like Rob Edwards or Kieran McKenna were the two names. I'm like, these are the two guys I want in. They both played great football. I feel like they both were had on Luton under Rob Edwards always fought. I always was like, I mean, every game I watched them, I was very impressed. Like I felt that they did not have the biggest budget or talent, but fought hard even after they were more or less relegated 2 years ago. So kudos to him. I think this he'll be back in the Premier League in a year and a half, and I'm excited to see what he does with his Wolves team. And honestly, my take on Villa too is Unai Emery, I feel like encourages his players to take long shots, which isn't the worst strategy. Like defenses don't expect it, and it's very unique. But he's missing McGinn and Tillemans today, who I
Yes,
do believe have
yes.
been hurt for a while. And McGinn is arguably the heart and soul of that team. Maybe not the most skilled, but the energy. Tillemans is a great, fantastic player. One of the midfielders who can control a game. He's not quite at the level of Declan Rice, but like he's that type of player who can control a midfield. Not as consistently or as well as Pedri and Rice's of the world, but very, very good player. Definitely a huge miss for them. And he encourages players to take long shots, which leads to a lot more variance in results. Like sometimes you can score those. If you score those, great. You can beat anybody because it lets your whole team structure a little bit better. Other teams aren't expecting it. But we're not scoring those. Or if Watkins isn't scoring, it's really difficult to deal with, and you can lose to anybody. So like Aston Villa the last couple of years has had a very they've defied advanced statistics in terms of their performance for that reason. Pep Guardiola's teams, and Brentford too is another example, and Brighton, they out vastly they target these advanced metrics like XG and things like that. And Aston Villa is an anomaly, and I think it's part of Unai Emery's style. I feel like it's also a deficiency in these advanced statistics, but just really interesting to see just how this team is faring.
So Joe, I have a question for you. Now that Aston Villa, in the last six Premier League games, they've only just had just one victory, which was against Brighton there at the Villa Park. Now, don't you think that teams like Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool might catch up with them and possibly overtake them?
I think it's possible, but George, I've said to you for a month I think that Chelsea is the team left out. It is going to be a really exciting race. Four teams for three spots. I think the last 11 games of this season. That's why I watch. That's why it's fun. I think Chelsea is going to be the team out. Injuries could determine it. I do feel if a Van Dijk gets injured tomorrow, then I do feel like then I'll change my mind on that. But I do think that Chelsea is going to be the team left out. But it'll be an exciting race, and some of that's down to luck, and some of it's down to performance.
Because if Manchester United defeats Crystal Palace on Sunday, what it means is that they will move to the third position. Why Aston Villa goes to the fourth position? Because
Yeah,
they have superior goal difference than Aston Villa at the moment. So
but Aston Villa lost. I think they had 3 points from the first 5 games, and zero were one goal or something like that. Like they've had a bad spot, and then they won 15 out of 18 games after that. Like this is a team fully capable of going on a run. Yuri Tillemans and John McGinn will be back, towards the end of the season, and we'll see. Also Europa League could have impact them as well. We'll see.
yeah, they will be playing Lille of France in the round of 16. So,
Yes.
and that's a very tough team to play against.
Yeah.
So that might really tell on them on their performance in the Premier League because they will likely take the Europa League very serious because if they can win it, that will give them an automatic spot in the Champions League.
If
So
their only goal right now was to compete in the Champions League, I think they should forfeit Europa and focus on the league. I think as a club, Unai Emery has to have the belief in his players of, you know, we can compete in the Champions League, we can compete in the Premier League, we can get fifth, we can win this competition. That has to be his mentality. Unai Emery, has won the Europa League several times, as we know.
yes, yes, yes,
But George,
that's true.
let's move on.
Yeah.
We have 9 Premier League games other than the one today. What is the worst Premier League game of this weekend?
Most times when you talk about the worst Premier League game, most times the Premier League is not. If you look at Wolves and Aston Villa today, Normally, I would have mentioned if we have maybe talked about this before now, I would have made mention that no, that might be the most boring game because yeah, a team at the bottom of the table is playing against a team in top sport. So I don't
Yeah,
know if I'll be able to tell you this game might be the worst. I don't
yeah.
know.
I think
Probably okay.
Bournemouth, Sunderland, because neither team's going to get relegated. Neither team's going to get Europe. It's just like, who cares? I'll watch it because it's soccer and it's really good and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But there's no real drama. Like it's like the winner's going to get 11th and the loser's going to get 14th. Like, what do I care? Um, Either way, I'll watch it. I'm sure it'll be fun. And the least worst Premier League game is still fantastically entertaining. All right, George. Other than Arsenal Chelsea, what is the best game, the most important game of the weekend? Because obviously Arsenal Chelsea is the crown jewel. We'll finish off talking
No,
about that.
that's the most important game for
But
this.
other than that one,
Other than that one, let me say which other team again? Liverpool is playing West Ham. I won't say that's a Leeds United is playing against Manchester City. Maybe Manchester United playing against Crystal Palace, if you
yeah,
ask me. That might be another game that, or because I don't want to mention Fulham against Tottenham because Tottenham has not been in good form. They haven't won any game this year. So it's
yeah,
more like they are no more in the conversation of that top team again. So I don't want to mention Tottenham in this conversation. So I would rather talk about maybe Manchester United playing against Crystal Palace. That might be another very interesting game to watch. But all that those two games, the Crystal Palace, I mean Manchester United hosting Crystal Palace at Old Trafford and Arsenal hosting Chelsea at the Emirates, both games will be played on Sunday.
yeah.
So
I think Fulham Tottenham would be exciting. I think it's watching a team like Tottenham even flirt with relegation is exciting for me. I remember when Aston Villa and Newcastle went down, I was like, I mean, those teams to me those were unsinkable clubs. I'm a little too old to remember Leeds going down 25 years ago. Or a little too young to remember that, but I imagine I've heard people say it was pretty similar. Like, how could this possibly happen? But yeah, watching Tottenham flirt with it is quite crazy to me. And I remember Everton getting 17th and feeling safe a couple times, and even that was like, oh my gosh, it would be so crazy to see a club this big go down. So seeing Tottenham going, in that would be crazy. It's in my opinion as a neutral fairly entertaining as well, because I feel like I've told you, George, I feel like they're Everton, who graduated the best striker in the world for 10 years from their academy and think they're great because that guy stayed a little longer. What if Rooney stayed at Everton until he was 29 and they qualified for the Champions League a couple times? That's Tottenham to me.
Joe, if I may ask you, is there a world where Tottenham get relegated this season?
Yes. First off, I'll say they are. We can only talk about likelihoods at this point, but yeah, if they get injuries, if they get bad luck, it would take injuries or bad luck plus performance from other teams. But the fact that it's reasonably close is crazy to me. And George, last year they did get 17th, but they were never in any real danger because they were like 10 or 12 points clear. They're 16th right now or spread, I think, but
Yeah,
I think they're only
16th. Yeah.
3 or 4 points clear. That's one match day. So yes, I do think there's a world where that could happen. I don't think it's likely. Same as Everton, 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, there's a world where it could have happened, but it didn't. They got saved on the last match day, and it was quite exciting for their fans. So but it's still fun for me to watch as a neutral.
Well, if I may ask you, what's your thoughts regarding Arsenal hosting Chelsea? Because the last time Chelsea got a win at the Emirates was August 22, 2021. Goals from Romelu Lukaku and Reece James was what gave Chelsea victory that game. Do you
Yeah,
see any chance of Chelsea getting, even if it's a draw or a win there? Because since then, they haven't even gotten even a draw from the
I
Emirates
think there's a
Stadium.
very good chance that this game could end in a draw. Obviously, it's at home, and Arsenal are favored to win, but Arsenal are. I feel like they're a team, a very good team. They get draws a little more often than they probably should, and I feel like against a good team like Chelsea, that's always a risk. They have quality around the pitch and talent, and can win. But
Chelsea will be
I
missing the service of Wesley Fofana in that game. Don't you think that is going to have impact on the team?
it would if Arsenal had elite attackers, but they have Saka and they have an elite defense and midfield. I don't believe their other attackers are elite, and I feel like Arsenal have not been the greatest at open play goals. And the yeah, I don't think that matchup wise that's going to be a big deal. Arsenal. Now I feel like this Arsenal team is the rest of the season. They're going to be up for bigger games. It's the smaller games I'm more worried about for them. If I were them, like dropping points to Wolves, but we will see. What about you, George? Do you think it's an Arsenal win?
For me, looking at the current state of things, one would want to say Arsenal will win the game. But in football, anything is very possible because a lot of factors can really come in into football, and that will change the whole dynamics of the game. Like we saw today, Wolves. Anybody looking at the way Wolves has been struggling with result would tell you, no, Aston Villa should get an easy win. But you see the way football happens, even though Aston Villa had all the possession, they were in control of the game, but things never worked in their favor. So that could happen on Sunday. But for me, Arsenal has an edge, if you ask me.
Yeah. Let me close out with our typical questions. Number one, Arsenal Chelsea. What is the result? Number two, is Aston Villa officially out of the title race, and are they back in the Champions League race with the three teams we mentioned? Is that an accurate assessment? Let us know your thoughts. Number three, what is the worst game of the weekend? I said Bournemouth Sunderland. I think George said what was it, Brighton Nottingham Forest. Um, George actually said Wolves Aston Villa. Sorry. And the last question is, other than Arsenal Chelsea, what game are you most excited for this weekend? Let us know your thoughts and appreciate you guys.